Alrighty, this is a response to a video posted by owheydusoapsk. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I want to go namely over one of the questions you asked, which is, would it be okay with you if in our society today, if we reinstituted slavery in the exact way they understood it then? We can follow all the regulations laid down by Paul or the Jews, so we'll be following the Bible. Well, I guess it'd be okay with me if we did it according to the Bible. The Jews decided they were going to add some of their own rules in, apart from the law that was given to them by Moses. If you're a Christian, you believe that the law was given by God to Moses. For anybody watching that's a Christian. Well, one of the things is from all my reading in the Bible, with all the regulations, all the laws in place, it's the only thing you can come to is that the slavery in the Bible was all voluntary. You had asked another question. Basically, you said, I hope you aren't arguing that it wasn't part of ancient Israel. I'm not arguing that at all. Yeah, I mean, what we would define as a form of slavery was definitely regulated in the Bible and in the Israeli culture. However, there's even still forms of that here in the United States, which is where I'm assuming you're from. If not, I mean, that's okay. Most people will be watching this from the U.S., I'm sure. Let's go over let's see, I believe the Emancipation Proclamation, from at least this source right here, I'm pretty sure this is correct, that Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, which of course was to end slavery in the U.S., was given on January 1863. Let's see if this has a year on it. Doesn't really. Okay. And in December 1865, the 13th Amendment was ratified. Let me read that for you. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the parties shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. And Section 2 says Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Well, that sounds almost exactly like what the Bible says, which is what I believe I read this in my previous video, that if a man steals an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. And this is Exodus 22, 1 through 3, by the way. If the sun be risen upon him, there shall be blood shed for him, for he should make full restitution. If he have nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. He's going to be put into slavery or involuntary servitude because of his crime. I could be wrong about this. I believe if you had a debt and you couldn't pay it back, you'd be put into slavery or involuntary servitude in order to pay that back. I could be wrong about that. However, the Bible does say the borrower is servant to the lender. I don't know if they had could choose their own employment or if they had to go work for the person, but I don't see anything morally wrong with that. If a person steals something, well, he has to pay. And that certainly wasn't a permanent situation. And you could say, well, Leviticus. I can't remember exactly where it's at, but there were slaves who were the property of the Israelite forever and their children. Well, you say, well, see, that's immoral. Yeah, well, if you put into play all the laws within the Bible, it's not, because that person would have had to voluntarily have been put there. Because again, he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. They don't even have to sell the person if they're just if they have the intent to sell the person. The person doing the kidnapping and the selling will be put to death. Let's see, and you might say, well, you can just grab anybody off the street. No, you can't, because in Exodus 23:9, the Bible says also, thou shalt not oppress a stranger, for you know the heart of a stranger, seeing ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. Not only were they strangers in the land of Egypt, they were slaves in Egypt. God's saying, look, don't mistreat strangers when they come through your land, because you remember what it was like in Egypt. Let's see. I believe you mentioned Philemon. Paul urged Philemon to go back. Well, yeah, he did. I mean, not that this is exactly relevant, but why was Philemon a servant or a slave to this man anyway? Was it voluntary? Was it involuntary? And even still, that doesn't matter, because Paul's purpose was not to abolish slavery. Even during the time of Nero, in Romans, Paul wrote that we should obey the laws of the land. Why? Because it's for the salvation of people's souls. It's an eternal mindset. If there is a God, that makes sense. If there is no God, then, well, I don't even know how you can say that slavery is wrong in the first place. Because when you die, you just die. You're not going to remember whether you were a slave or free, whether you had a good life or a bad life. It doesn't matter. From a long-term perspective, it's useless to put any laws in place. And another thing is why didn't they fight against the laws? Well, Jesus said in front of Pilate, he said, my kingdom is not of this world. If it were, then would my disciples fight? Jesus plainly said that it wasn't the system that he would have in place. Let's see. Let me go back to your question. Would it be okay with you if in our society today we reinstituted slavery in the exact same way I understood it then? Well, let me go to another one of your comments. You would define it as a person within a society who has fewer civil rights and human rights than does a full citizen in that country and does not have the freedom to leave his employment. Okay, well, we still have people like that in the United States today. They're called U.S. soldiers. They went there voluntarily. Just like if you obey the laws of the Bible in the slavery that was instituted then, the only thing you can come up with is either the person committed a crime or it was voluntary. Let's see. A person in the military does not have the freedom to leave their employment. They don't have the same rights as a regular citizen. I mean, you could argue they're still a full citizen. Well, they still don't, that title's on them, but they don't have the full rights of a regular citizen. And they cannot leave their employment until their time's up. Well, neither could the slave in the Bible. I believe it was 7 years or 50 years. It really depended on the contract. I guess that's pretty much it. I probably won't make any more responses to this slavery issue because I just don't have time to have a long video debate. And I know you probably won't agree with anything I just said. That's fine. We live in a free country. And by the way, those rights that were given to you and I were by people who said that this book right here is the only way to lawfully govern a nation. Same thing with the European nations. They all started with this book, the Bible. And that's where you got your freedom of speech and freedom of the press and all this other stuff. Anyway, I guess you can make a response to this video if you want. I won't make any more responses to any of your responses. But thanks for your post, and I hope you have I hope this is useful to you. All right, bye.